Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Christopher Schaub and I provide listening notes for great jazz and classical recordings. If you like the channel, please consider subscribing, click like on this video and share with your friends. Comment if you think I said something that you want to add to or if I got it wrong. So today I'm talking about the Köln concert, Keith Jarrett 1975 on ECM Records. The last video I did was on ECM, was another Keith Jarrett offering, so I'm sorry to double up here a little bit, but I ran across this one in the bins at Allied Records in Toledo, Ohio, which is kind of near where I live. And it has the Japanese OBI strip on it, very cool Japanese pressing on ECM. So I had to get it, and it's in mint condition, and I've always been looking for one of these, so it was a really good find, and I figured I've been listening to it, I'll talk about it on Monday. So here we go. This was 1975. It's a solo piano recording by Keith Jarrett. Keith Jarrett, as you might know, is one of my favorite piano players. Just from the last video, you probably get that idea. He's definitely a genius. If there's a genius, Keith's it. He recorded this in Köln, Germany, and it was a concert that was everything went wrong basically leading up to the concert. He had some bad food, Italian food, I guess, and so he wasn't feeling very good. They got the wrong piano. They were supposed to have a Bosendoefer 290 Imperial grand piano, and instead they just got a Bosendoefer baby grand, which is a nice piano, but as artists he specified what he wanted and what he was comfortable playing. And there was a mix-up and they got the wrong piano and they had problems tuning it. It was quite an ordeal to the point where Keith Jarrett almost canceled the concert, and he talks about this in an interview you can watch. But also he was considering, with all these things that were going badly, to just cancel the recording, to send the engineers home. He had been driven to the concert by Manfred Eicher, who is one of the co-founders of ECM Records, and another amazing person who drove him there in a Renault. And the Renault that he drove, which is a car, a French car, we had a Renault when I was a kid, and we were one of the few families, but my dad bought it to save money on gas. And we lived in Michigan, south of Detroit. And I remember people staring at us like, what kind of car is that? It was so small. And I guess his was a slightly different model, but anyhow, they drove in this Renault, bad Italian food, doesn't feeling real well, it's a long drive, and the concert doesn't start till 11:30 at night because there's an opera going on before this. So he's being asked to play after an opera at 11:30, not feeling well, on a piano that he doesn't like. So he's really not in the mood to play this show. But he just, I guess, must have just mustered his will and got up there and did it. And there's sometimes, if you don't feel well, you're kind of out of your element a little bit as a performer, you sometimes put on your best performances because you completely are out of your head. You're just going for it because you're just too tired to think about it. You're too tired to be actively checking what you're doing, and you're just letting it flow. And this recording is magical. If you need a recording to relax and inspire you and to challenge you, but mostly just inspire, this is it. This is, just incredible. He describes it, his overall process, and by the way, this whole album is improvised. So it's 2 records. It's a completely improvised concert, and that means that he's got a lot of guts. He gets up there, doesn't know what he's going to play. He purposely does not preordain what he's going to do. He just gets up there and sits down and starts playing. And then he describes it, and this is the part that sort of floored me. He describes his process as there's music going on all around him, and he's just trying to pull it out of the air and bring it down to where he can perform it. So he's trying to just catch the bits of music that are all around him that he's hearing. And it's kind of an incredible image. And so it kind of shows you the fearlessness that he had as a performer. And when you hear the performance, when you sit down, this is one of those ones that you can just put on and it'll just take you away. It's that good. Keith Jarrett was trained as a classical pianist, so you can hear a lot of that kind of styling going on in the music. But then he's a dominant jazz piano player. He's probably, you know, if not, he's in the top 5 jazz piano players of all time. That's how good he is. Maybe the top 3. Oddly enough, a few other facts about this. The show was sold out, so that was probably another reason why he didn't bail on it. He probably figured, well, all these people came out at 11:30 at night in Germany. I might as well do this concert. But it was sold out by an 18-year-old promoter, Vera Brandes. And that's kind of an amazing feat for an 18-year-old person to do. And so there was a lot of things going against it, but in some ways that set the stage for maybe the perfect moment. So going into the tracks, side 1 begins with part 1, and it's like a meditation. When I was first really digging into it, it always reminds me of like a Schubert or a Schumann piano sonata. It doesn't have the same harmonic sensibility as that, but it has the airiness and the sort of lushness that I hear in those composers. And he's, again, improvising this. He's creating this on the fly, and he builds from a nice spacious opening to a big crescendo at the end of part 1. Part 2A, which is the next cut on side A of the record, it's kind of bluesy, kind of folkish. Again, previous album, Keith's really great at that sort of folky, bluesy, gospel-y piano stuff with jazz thrown in, and he's doing that here. The way he's playing the piano here, he's implying a 2 and 4 backbeat that a drummer would normally be playing, but he's accenting 2 and 4 pretty strongly with the chords. And what he's playing actually wouldn't be out of place at an Allman Brothers show. I mean, it would work just fine. It would just be the most intense Allman Brothers show that ever existed. So listen for that. And then he kind of switches halfway through to some more of like a piano meditation in the second half. So he's kind of got this real rhythmic thing going on, and then it kind of just settles out. And then in side 2 of the record, he has starts with more of like a continuation of that, and it's more of like a blues and like a minor theme bluesy kind of a improvisation. Backbeats are kind of there again, implied in the piano styling, and then he switches to like repeating ostinatos, which are repeated musical phrases, usually single note phrases over and over and over again. And it reminds me of Phillip Glass quite a bit. So the second half of part 2B reminds me of some of that kind of thing that Phillip Glass would do. And he's definitely somebody to check out if you haven't checked out Phillip Glass. He's a modern 20th century classical new music composer. And then the last track on side 2 is part 2C. And this one's like a folk tune. It sounds like a tune you would know, but you somehow don't know it because he's creating it on the fly. It's like a complete song. He's bringing together ideas from the other parts of the improvisation that he's done in that evening. And this is all recorded in one concert, okay? Notice how the bass that he's playing in the left hand, the bass motion, affects the harmony while the right hand sometimes stays on an ostinato or a repeating phrase. It's pretty genius the way he does this. And then he comes to a more longing, sort of sentimental section toward the end. One thing to mention about this, it's completely improvised. But when you're a guy like Keith Jarrett, you've spent years developing ideas when you're practicing. You've got, there's my cat. Hello, Ollie boy. You've got different things that you work on and practice. And I'm sure things that he was working on made their way into this recording, especially part 2C. Sounds like an idea that maybe he had been working on. But nonetheless, I mean, this entire record is a gorgeous improvised testament to everything that was right with music when this was recorded. And in my opinion, we should get back to a lot of this, more human beings making music and championing the human achievements and being a master on your instrument. If you want to know the difference between what is going on with computer-based music, where people are just dragging loops and you know, singing over an auto-tune and all of that, and somebody mastering their instrument and being able to get up in front of a sold-out crowd and improvise for a few hours and not lose it, and not lose the crowd, and just make it a recording. This is one of the seminal, This is one of the long-standing recordings in jazz piano music. Okay, to be able to do that is really a testament to his mastery, but also to the human spirit and the possibilities that we all could shoot for in our lives. So there's links in the description. These notes are in the description, along with links to stream this via your favorite streaming providers. Songwhip makes that really easy. You just click on the link, and then you can pick whatever streaming provider you like. And there's also a link to purchase this record right from ECM, from Manfred Eicher's company, Editions of Contemporary Music. They're still selling it. It's probably one of their best sellers, I'm sure. And so I hope you get a chance to get this, and I hope you have a great day.